Hey friends, sorry this episode's coming out a bit late, and sorry for my voice, I'm getting over a cold, as I seem to be doing perpetually. Today we're doing a fun little look back at the album that we put together in March. Sort of the initial batch of sales has now happened, and I'm very happy to be able to report to you all that we were able to raise $1,430 to send to Peace Through Music International. The tracks for the album were donated, the prizes for the initial album launch were donated. I did use around $50 from the proceeds to cover the cost of shipping some prizes around the world. I hope that feels okay. But yeah, so many people being so generous resulted in over $1,400 for Peace Through Music International. And there may be more still to come. I suspect that will be the largest sort of bulk chunk of money that we can send to the charity from this project. But, my plan is basically, well, here's one announcement, just so you know. As of about a week or so ago, the album is now available to stream everywhere, and it's still available on Bandcamp. So the plan here is to just take account every November of any money that's been generated by the album via streams on different platforms, via sales on Bandcamp, possible future pressings of the album physically, etc. Extract those gains and send them to Peace Through Music International. The idea there being simply that in November, there's a chance that maybe around the time of Giving Tuesday, the charity might have some gift matching programs from generous donors, etc., which we could then take advantage of. You know, if, say, the album raises $400 over the course of a year, if we gave it to them in October, it would be $400, but if they have like a gift matching donor around Giving Tuesday or something like that, when these things tend to happen, then we could make that money go even further, turn it into $800 for the charity instead of $400. That's the idea, anyway. So streams don't make a ton of money, but by all means stream it because it adds up over time. And if you haven't already got a copy, feel free to check it out on Bandcamp. It's on there. There'll be a link in the show description. Anyway, in the background, you have been hearing track 5 from the album, written by my good friend Jeremy. Let's listen into that one. Jeremy improvised the initial version of that tune while my very cool wife, Rachel, was laboring with our newest baby, Leo. He sent it to us and we listened to it in the delivery room. It's special to us, obviously, and I can't wait for Leo to be old enough that he'll be able to understand that this is his tune, you know. Jeremy has been on the show a few times talking about his podcast, Way Too Twag's Bagpipe and History podcast, as well as a few, but not all yet, of his albums. By the way, he had just soft launched a new album called, at least so far, he might change the title in the meantime, but as far as I know, as of right now, it's going to be called Cold and Raw, and it's really good. Let me just tell you that. It's amazing. Very worth checking out. I highly recommend checking out his podcast and all of his albums. I think this new one, I've enjoyed all of his albums. I'm not trying to put them down, but the samples that I've heard of this new one, it's amazing. It's really good. He was on the show in episodes 34, 49, and 83. Now let's hop over and listen to track 3.
And every time I've held a rose, it seems I only felt the thorns. And so it goes, and so it goes, and so will you soon, I suppose. But if my silence made you leave, then that would be my worst mistake. So I will share this room with you, and you can have this heart to break.
So Tyler Johnson was in episode 25, and Jeff Mann was the guest in episode 77. The two of them got together and recorded this cover. If you'd asked me what popular songs would fit well on small pipes, I don't think any of Billy Joel's music would have come to mind. So this was a really fun surprise when they first sent it in. Now, there were several excellent musicians who donated tracks, which can be found elsewhere. And this is a huge deal because I think it helped with the album's visibility. Because these are people who have large followings, especially in our, trad music community. And so these tracks do appear on albums that these artists have already released on their own or in other projects. They can be found on YouTube, stuff like that. Those artists include Ross Miller, who was the guest in episode 89. Ross Ainsley and Jesse Offgang, who were guests in episode 61 and 86, respectively. Timothy Cummings, who came on the show in episodes 17 and 51. Jeremiah McLean from episode 74. Judy Barker, my personal musical hero. I still get giddy when I think about the fact that she's been on the show. She was on the show in episode 24.
Last jailers the invalid saw, with prisoners of war in custody. They share the consequence of the war, confined within these walls they be, to mark his service for
Michael Roddy, who was the guest for episode 58. And Craig Weir, who appeared in episode 60. All of the tracks on this album are obviously amazing. One track on the album, though, that is played by a musician who has not directly been on the show is track 11, Snake in the Bush. This track was written and performed by Kyle Hampson of Lear Whistle. Kyle's been awesome, along with the whole team at Lear. When Sean Cunningham of Whistle Tutor fame came on the show in episode 62, we talked a bit about his relationship with Lear, and Kyle sent us a discount code for podcast listeners. First time that a musical instrument manufacturer of any kind has sent a discount code for listeners, so that was cool, a cool moment of feeling legit, you know. And they also, I'll admit to you, sent me an A whistle, which was really nice and very exciting, and has been a lot of fun because, of course, my Piper brain likes to think in A, and so that is actually a pretty big deal for me in terms of getting me to play whistle more, and well, I'm just grateful. It was really cool of them. Let me tell you, this is the life of fame and fortune that I've been chasing. Get to talk with celebrity musicians and have musical gifts showered upon me. That's living the dream right there. Another track on the album that's played by someone who hasn't actually been on the show, but in this case, it's played on an instrument made by someone who's been on the show, is track 6, The Mist-Covered Mountains. Here, Andrew Morrill plays a lovely arrangement of the tune on small pipes. These small pipes were made by Ross Morrill. Ross has been on the show. He was on the show in episodes 52 and 59. Now, this is important. This means that Ross Morrill accounts for about 33.333% of the Rosses that have been on the show so far. However, Ross Morrill accounts for a full 50% of episodes where the guest was a Ross. Some more small pipes on the album came from a man whose voice is pretty well known in our community, Big Rab's weekly drone reader, J.D. Ingram, or Ingram, as the Six might say. He did this awesome, huge project called the Seersucker Suite. And it wasn't all small pipes. Joe Brady of FU Joe Brady fame, speaking of the Six, he was a guest in the guest, excuse me, in episode 68. He sent in a track recording of Waken District Pipe Band playing the aptly for this project titled, sorry, I don't know if my parenthetical came through clearly there. This track is titled Pipes of Peace, which seems appropriate for this project. It's a set. It includes Pipes of Peace by Simon Blackshaw, and then The Mason's Apron and Butterfingers. This is track 14. Actually, there were some other Highland Pipe tracks, including this track from Laura Brockbank. She sent in a cool cover of My Mother Told Me. This is a song that got popular after it was used on the History Channel's Vikings show. The Polish band that did the original was super cool. I emailed them about putting the cover on the album, and they were all for it and very supportive of the project. I just wish that I spoke Polish so that I could more properly announce, or excuse me, not announce. I wish I spoke English as well. But I do wish that I spoke Polish so I could better pronounce the name of the group. Like, if I was going to say it, I'd try saying Hurley Ilotri. It's track 13 on the album, and in Bandcamp, there is a link to their website in the track info. So, and I really like Their website is so cool. It's the group singing on stage, and like in the foreground, one of them is holding a sleeping child. I just think there's something genuine and like grassrootsy that feels very fitting, but very befitting of like folk music or trad music in that. I just thought that was lovely. There are a few tracks on the album that don't feature pipes. Of course, we're a crowd that is unlikely to ever say, no more bagpipes, please. But even so, sometimes it does seem like maybe it's nice to break up a pipe album with some non-pipe tracks, and some awesome musicians sent in tracks that serve that purpose while being totally lovely to listen to. Erin Wolf from episode 29 sent in a track that she made with her sisters.
I'll roll up my bedding and pack up my clothes and lighten my heart with a song. For where I'll be traveling, nobody knows, so I'll have to be moving along. So long to the Red River Valley, our roping and wrangling is through. And so farewell to the home corral and all the old friends that I knew. Goodbye.
Jeff Mann sent in a lovely piano composition called To Him Who They Loved. And Robert McDonald from episode 98 sent in this lovely flute tune that he wrote and accompanied called Lucky Lily in a set with the Murrow, or maybe it's Moreau. I'm not sure how that's pronounced actually, but the second tune in the set is by Peg Ryan. There was a mix of originals and covers, as we've already heard here. One great cover was from Eamon Hegarty. He came on the show in episode 54 Follow this guy on YouTube and social media and stuff. He's hilarious. Friends, I give you track 12, Margaritaville. Now, if you haven't already been listening with a good set of headphones or on a big surround sound system or even in your car or something like that, so you can have like a sound experience, let me just suggest that you do that for the track that David Duncan sent in, whether it's here in the show or, later listening via Bandcamp or whatever. But this track is great and deserves to be experienced like that. You can feel it in your chest. It's a good experience in that way. This is track 15, Sleipnir's Breath. And let me also just suggest following David on the socials too. He's putting out really cool, very cool stuff regularly, kind of mind-bending, note-bending music all the time. It's really cool. Jeremy didn't have to shoulder all the burden of representing uilleann pipes on the album. Liam Winnett, who came on the show in episode 76, sent in track 17. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure if this was a composition of Liam's. He's such an amazing player that, I think maybe he just got my email, sat back, hit record on his phone, and made this up. I'm not sure. There's something of the fairy magic about the guy, and so if he appears to you in, a golden cave or in next to a fairy bush or in a circle of toadstools or something like that someday, ask him for me if he had a title in mind for this track, because the file he sent me just said droning on track, and maybe thus it is titled on the album, and that's cool. It's a great track from Liam here. After Liam came on the show, the very next episode was an interview with Jenna Dennison. She's another excellent piper to follow on the social medias for sure. She donated track 19, Pacolette. Now I feel insecure. Is it Pacolette or is it Pacolé? Pacolé? I also, in the long list of languages I don't speak, French is on the list. Sorry if I said that wrong. In episode 85, Rod and Evan and I did an impromptu live droning intro, which will forever be one of my very favorite memories from doing the podcast. Seasonal allergies were good for something that day, I do declare. Rod did something really cool for track 20. He looked at the instruments that Peace Through Music International uses to teach kids in their program, which are chiefly penny whistle, ukulele, and harmonica, and he put those instruments to use in this pipe singing arrangement of Deep River.
Deep river, Lord, I want to cross over into campground. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got peace, love, and joy like a river, I've got peace, love, and joy like a river, I've got peace, love, and joy like a river in my soul. I've got peace, love, and joy like a river, I've got peace, love, and joy like a river, I've got peace, love, and joy like a river in my soul.
Alec Chisholm is, and sorry, Alec, I'm never sure if it's Chisholm, Chisholm, but Alec of Get Bagpipe Ready. That's maybe the way most of us will know him from social media and such like that. He's a person whose enthusiasm for music and life in general is, I think, both inspirational and infectious. He was on the show in episode 90. I do not know how to keep track of this guy. 1 week you see a video of him piping on the top of a mountain. Then it's a trumpet in a room full of banjos. Then he's playing one of the banjos. Then he's at an uilleann piping school in Ireland. Wherever he is right now, I don't doubt whatever he's doing, he's surely having a great time and helping people around him have a great time too. He donated this really cool arrangement of March Around Old Joe Clark. This is track 22 on the album.
Old Joe had a set of pipes, the tassels all in red. He played those pipes both day and night, just hoping to be fed. Old Joe made his own pipe bagpipe breeze who did not squeal or hiss. If you had no money to give, you'd pay him with a kiss. Fare thee well, old Joe Clark, he's piping out of town. Fare thee well, old Joe Clark, oh how I'll miss his sound. March around, old Joe Clark, march around, I'd say. I'd march with him 10,000 miles to hear his bagpipe play. I went down to old Joe's house to see how it was built. I found he had no house at all, he just lived in a kilt. Old Joe had no bills or loans, he did not even rent. His bagpipe music made him rich, though he never saved a cent. Fare thee well, old Joe Clark, he's piping out of town. Fare thee well, old Joe Clark, oh how I'll miss his sound. March around, old Joe Clark, march around, I'd say. I'd march with him 10,000 miles to hear his bagpipe play.
Being an album with lots of piping, it's perhaps not surprising that a lot of the tracks are over 4 minutes long. There are just lots of sets of tunes and such. I think that only two of the tracks, as I look down the track list, though, beat the 5 minute mark, and Andrew O'Sullivan takes the prize by a margin of about 30 seconds for the longest runtime of a track on the album. Andrew ended his really impressive streak of piping daily on his Highland pipes recently. This set contained a ton of tunes, and Andrew was okay with just calling it As Long as Hector's Arm, which I thought was great because it alludes to one of the track tunes in the set, but also it's like, oh, you know, like, I mean, okay, here I am explaining the joke. Probably the joke was already obvious. It's a long set. It's as long as Hector's arm. That's the joke. I just love that. Anyway, this is track 24 on the album. Well, I've really enjoyed doing this kind of review of the album. Maybe this was all just for me. I wonder about that sometimes. Maybe all of the am I just selfish? I don't know. I don't know. I apologize if that's the case, but I've sure enjoyed this. I hope it's been enjoyable to listen to as well. If you don't already have a copy of the album, I invite you to think about getting a copy. It's for a good cause and it's a lot of good music. The money will keep going to Peace Through Music International in perpetuity. They are a great organization. The album is live on Bandcamp and, at least for now, can be streamed and purchased pretty much anywhere else, iTunes and Spotify and all the other big places. Also, this episode is going to function as kind of a bookmark, or we might even say like a cherry on top of the first 100-ish episodes of the show. It might be apparent because of the nature of the most recent episodes, but I am having a bit of a hard time keeping up with the show at present. Without knowing for sure how everything will shake out, I anticipate a return to new episodes around the holidays this year. But until then, the show is going to go quiet for just a little bit. All the episodes will remain available for listening, of course. I do plan to do a little bit of cleanup as far as episode order, etc. So there may be some small changes in that way, but I suspect that those kinds of changes are nothing anyone but myself is really going to notice. Maybe those are just more for my own sanity than anything. But if you haven't enjoyed the backlog of interviews, I dare say that the interviews are all pretty evergreen, even if it's me who's saying so. But thank you kindly for listening, for helping with the success of the fundraising album, and I would like to just specifically mention real quick the instrument makers, instructors, etc., who donated prizes to help drum up excitement around the album release. Those were Didario, Generation Music, MK Whistles, Maverick, Cutie Pie, Blaine Chastain, Get Bagpipe Ready, Melvin Reeds, and the World Peace Tartan as well, and my good buddy Kevin, who he was on the show back in episode 21. He did the album cover design as well. And thank you to everybody who's bought and will be buying copies of the album too. And I think it would be cool to end the episode the same way that the album ends, which is with Benjamin Elzerman's lovely arrangement of Idumea. Actually, now that I say it out loud, I've sung this song with groups and stuff. I feel unsure now. Is it Idumea, Idumea, or something else entirely? There's nothing like recording yourself to make you question how you talk. Anyway, Benjamin was the guest in episode 99 of the show, and he did this recording of this lovely arrangement of the tune.